Okay, hi Lovelace. It's time for our wider curriculum history lesson for Friday. And as you can see, our question today is, can I use clues to find out where the Saxons settled in Britain? Okay, so if you remember from last time, we talked about how the Anglo-Saxons, how those three tribes of the Angles, the Jutes, and the Saxons crossed the North Sea from Northern Europe and landed in England. Okay. Here they are. It's a normal Anglo-Saxon family with their home behind them, settling in Britain. Okay. Oh, let me just move myself out of the way. There we go. Once the Anglo-Saxon tribes had arrived in Britain, they had to decide where to build their villages. What should they look for, and where should they build? So if you arrived in a new country, there were no cities or towns. It was just countryside. Where would you choose to build your village? What would you look out for? What do you think the Anglo-Saxons looked out for? Pause the video and have a quick think. Now, I wonder if your list matches any of the things on my list. Here are the things I thought about. So did you think of things like being close to a lake or a stream so they would have access to fresh water? What about being close to the coast so they could get in their boats and travel and trade with other countries easily? Good land for farming. We know the Saxons were good and keen farmers because they crossed to Britain because their lands were flooded. So they need to build their villages where the land is good for farming. What about building their villages in a valley so they're surrounded by high ground which might protect them from the weather? Or on top of a hill? They may be exposed to the weather, but they would have a clear view if any invaders, if any enemy armies were coming towards them. What about building near woodland so they could cut down trees to make houses and other tools? Or being close to a river, so again, in their boat, they can transport goods up and down the river to other villages. Okay, so just 7 possible reasons why they might choose to settle where they did. Now, our language is full of words or parts of words from all over the world, including Anglo-Saxons. Now, we're going to look at the Anglo-Saxon language in a moment, but for now, let's see if you know where some of these words might come from. Where do you think in the world the words ballet, cafe, and genre come from? These are words we use in English. We've adopted them and use in our own language, but where did they originally come from? Moment for a quick guess? Well, these 3 words come from the French language. What about karaoke, ninja, and tsunami? Again, just take a moment. Which country do you think these might come from, or which language do you think these words might come from? Well, it's Japanese. But again, these are words we use in English. What about delicatessen, kindergarten, and rucksack? Okay, delicatessen, remember, is that counter in the supermarket where they might sell fresh hams or cheeses. Kindergarten, school for little children. And obviously rucksack is the bag you bring to school. But which language do these words originally come from? You might be surprised to know they're from German. What about macho and patio? If someone's being macho, they're acting all strong and hard. And then patio is the concrete or paving slabs in a back garden. But which language do these words come from? Well, it's Spanish. And what about tofu and typhoon? Tofu is the food stuff for vegetarians, a non-meat product. And typhoon is a strong storm. But which language do tofu and typhoon come from? Well, it's Chinese. Okay. Now, here are 5 other words, each one from a different language, but each word we're quite familiar with. Chocolate, I think we're all very familiar with. Moped, a little motorbike. Lemon, avatar, which are those little images we use on the computer to represent ourselves. And sherbet, the sweet. But which languages do you think these 5 words come from? Again, have a moment, take a guess. Well, chocolate comes from a Native American language. Moped is Swedish. Lemon is derived from the Arabic language. Avatar originally was Hindi, and sherbet comes from the Turkish language. But now let's focus on the Anglo-Saxons again. So our language is full of words or parts of words from the Anglo-Saxons. We can still see this in many of the places and names we have for our towns and cities. Here are just a few. Okay. So all the words in bold are originally from Anglo-Saxon. And next to them is what they mean and relating to the town or city that they're describing. So if a town or city's name contains bridge, then there was a bridge. If it contains bourne or burn, then it refers to a stream. Bur or berry refers to a fort. Coombe or combe refers to a valley. Cot, a small hut. Fall is a place cleared of trees. Field, surprise, surprise, is a field. Ford is a river crossing. Ham refers to a village. Hurst, a clearing, so an empty space. Ing simply refers to the people of, so the people of this place. Lake is a lake. Lay or lee is again another word for clearing. A stead is a farm. Stock is summer pasture. Stow is a holy place. Ton refers to a farm or village. Wick or witch again refers to a farm or a dwelling, a place to live. And worth is fenced land. Okay, so looking round the map of the UK that's on the screen now, can you see any of those suffixes, any of those word parts in some of the names? I think you can see a couple. So if we look, we've got Birmingham and Nottingham there, and we can see that ham refers to a village. So nowadays, Birmingham is a big city, and Nottingham, again, is a very big town city. But in each case, they would have originally been small villages that have grown and grown throughout the years. Any others we can see? Well, if we come down to the bottom here, we've got Southampton. So ton originally referred to it being a farm or a village. Now Southampton is right on the mouth of a river. So with all that water close by, I'm guessing that the land there would have been very, very good for farming. So I think that the Southampton refers to it as being good farmland because the land would have been provided for really well by the waters there of the river. Okay. Take a moment to look around the map and see if you can see any other place names that contain some of those suffixes. Now, your task for today. I'd like you to look at a map or go online and find 5 towns or cities whose names derive from the Anglo-Saxon language. So 5 towns or cities whose names contain one of those suffixes from the list I showed you. Then I want you to find them and place them on your map. Now I've done one for you, give you an example. Warrington. Now I know Warrington well because it's near to where I was born. Okay. But Warrington contains the ton, the ton suffix there, which helps us decide how and why it was named. And I've placed it on the map. Okay. Now I've used yellow there so it stands out on my map, but you could just draw an arrow and write it neatly in pen or pencil, I don't mind, but mark where it is on the map. Then for each one underneath the map, I want you to explain which feature, what it is about that place that you think helped to give it its name. Okay, so in the case of Warrington, Warrington is close to the River Mersey. The River Mersey is here, it comes in at Liverpool. Okay. I know that part of the River Mersey, as it's getting a little bit thinner, actually flows through Warrington. Okay, so Warrington is close to the River Mersey, so the soil would be very good for growing. This would have been a farming area, and Tom means farm. So I believe that Warrington got its name because it was a really good area for farming. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So you are doing the bit in blue. You are coming up with your town name, your town or city name, and a description of why you think it's got that name, and then you're placing it onto your map. And I would like you to do that 5 times for me, please. Okay, now the towns or cities could be close to where we are here in Slough, or they could be anywhere else in the country. Now, because we know the Anglo-Saxons settled in England, then these towns and cities will be in England. They might not be down in Cornwall or in Wales, because as we know, when the Anglo-Saxons arrived, it was the Britons who moved westward into these parts of the country. So if you focus your search in England, especially in East England, then I think you'll probably have more luck finding words with those suffixes. Okay, so the final slide I will show you contains that list. So there you go. Bridge, Bourne, Burr or Bury, Coombe, Cot, Fall, Field, Ford, Ham, Hust, Ing, Lake, Lee or Lay, Stead, Stock, Stow, Ton, Wick or Witch, and Worth. I am sure you can find 5 towns or cities with those suffixes. And then take a look at a map, take a look at where those towns and cities are, and see if you can decide why they might have been given those particular names. Okay. Well done for paying attention, listening so well today. Good luck with that task. That's the end of the lesson, and I will see you next time. Take care.